All right, guys, Cavs, Knicks. Regardless of what happened in the regular season, it was these two teams all along. Only one game they played really matters now. It was post-James Harden trade where the Cavs really did lock down the Knicks offense, where you had Mobley on Cat, switching screens, you had Jared Allen helping off of Josh Hart. Dean Wade was starting on Brunson, but he also just made them more switchable. And when it was one big guy, you'd see like Jalen Tyson on Cat and Mobley on Josh Hart, whatever. This, for me, is the Cat series. Okay, the Knicks have made a lot of progress with running way more of the offense through Cat, still getting into some Brunson Cat two-man game, even if the guy who's on Cat is switchable. And when I was looking at that regular season matchup, they would run plays where Brunson and Cat would do something, and then Mobley would switch onto Brunson, and then it might be Dean Wade on Cat. And then they would just have Cat not get the ball again, and then he would just like kind of float off somewhere. Then Jared Allen off ball switches onto him, so now he's in a help position, and they just can't have that. Like, it can't be Jalen Brunson dribbling the air out of the ball versus Mobley on a switch, or, I mean, he's going to look for the Mitchell-Harden mismatches, of course, and they'll do the same thing going at him. We'll get to that. And Brunson's still going to lead the team in shot attempts, and he's going to have some huge scoring games, and he's probably going to decide a fourth quarter of just really tough step backs or whatever. Like, that's all going to happen, and we're also going to do a lot of ref talk with him and Harden drawing fouls. But if the difference between Brunson's shot attempts and the rest of the teams is just ridiculous, that's probably not a win for the Knicks, unless Brunson can't miss a shot pretty much. Just don't forget about Cat. Like, use Cat at the top of the key. And they've done a lot of that ever since they went down 2-1 to Atlanta. It's just taken the offense to a whole new level. Because when you do that, it takes Mobley out of the paint, which makes him not as effective of a help defender. This is just for the starting five, of course. Like, eventually Mobley's going to be on Josh Hart some, but assuming they keep the regular season defensive matchups, then Mobley's going to go from I don't have to guard a Sar out here to I have to stay glued to Cat. At least, again, for the starting five. So that's the biggest thing for me, right? When you get Brunson more off ball, it just makes them less predictable. Also, with Harden and Mitchell guarding McHale and OG's playing in game one, there's a lot of opportunities to just make those two guard and cover space, whether it's on backdoor cuts, which of course they've been very successful with when they've got Cat at the top of the key, or just DHO action to just get those guys moving. I know they want to switch, but also if Harden or Mitchell end up switched on Cat, it's another opportunity for Cat to go to work. Now, of course, because Jared Allen is going to be playing off of Josh Hart, you're going to get your Brunson-Josh Hart two-man actions, and we'll just see how Jared Allen navigates that. Like, how high up is he? Is Brunson going to be able to just walk into some pull-up twos? I would guess that Allen's going to be higher up. I mean, a big adjustment for the Cavs, like I think after game 2 of the Pistons series, was we're just going to have our bigs higher up on Cade actions and just not give him as many driving lanes. Also, how often do we see Cat just going at Mobley? I mean, obviously, Mobley's a great defensive player, and he can contest Cat's shot. He's going to pressure him like on the three-point line whenever Cat's got the ball, but Cat's got a bunch of pounds on him. Now, if the matchups end up being way different, then some of this ends up out of whack, but Mobley was on Cat in their last regular season matchup, and I suppose it's possible you could see Jared Allen on Cat sometimes, but if that's the case, then the pick and pop is just way more dangerous versus Allen than versus Mobley. And then whenever Cat's got, a Dean Wade or a Jalen Tyson or a Max Strus switched onto him, like, you just gotta be able to counter that all the time, whether it's face-ups, post-ups. You can still get into the top of the key stuff, although Mobley and Allen being able to help down there is going to be a little tougher, but that's the biggest thing, man. Just do not forget that Cat exists, because once the Knicks started playing through Cat more, the offense just exploded. Now, Cleveland is better than the Philly team, the Knicks saw, and the Hawks, but still. And again, OG and McHale not allowing Harden and Mitchell to relax defensively, that's a huge thing as well, but we'll see with OG's hamstring. I mean, OG has been unbelievable these playoffs. The dude's got like a 75 true shooting. He's just not missing shots at all. For the defense, well, we'll talk about that in a second. Brunson is also just going to be taking a lot of shots with Mobley or Allen just helping against him or switched onto him in Mobley's case. So yeah, but the Cavs, they're not going to have the leeway of just clogging the paint like they did versus the Pistons, except for helping off of Josh Hart. And then we get to when Mitch enters the game. We know the story of Mitch versus Mobley and Allen. He did a lot of damage to those two's PR in that series, and just so many offensive rebounds, or maybe he didn't get the offensive rebound, but he would keep it alive long enough to where the Cavs just were never comfortable as a team. And let's see if he does it again. Per 36 minutes in these playoffs so far, Mitch is averaging 6 offensive rebounds and also 8 free throws per 36 minutes because teams keep doing hack a Mitch. We'll probably see it in this series. And then after that, I'm just wondering, will we see more of like Deuce or Shamet out there over Josh Hart in certain lineups just to maximize the amount of shooting? For as good as the Knicks have looked these playoffs, Josh Hart is shooting 28% from 3. Regular season was 40%, but we know how the playoffs can go. Now, they wanted to go with Hart on Harden in the regular season matchup. So yeah, biggest thing again, play through Cat. Sure, you're going to have to hope that Cat doesn't commit random offensive fouls driving at Mobley or whatever, but that's the biggest thing for me. And then for the Cleveland side of things, They're going to put Brunson in a lot of actions. Harden is going to try to get the Brunson switch and then put Cat in an action where I imagine Cat will be on Jared Allen. Which actually, here's the other thing. In the last matchup they had, OG was more so on Mobley. Now, OG is switchable, and there is a question of, like, how aggressive can OG get as a help defender? The Cavs, of course, have used Mobley a little bit more as a ball handler in screen actions. They have also had a lot of success with Harden Mobley actions, but at the same time, that was versus Tobias. Now it's going to be versus OG if the matchups stay as they were in that one matchup. But with Mobley, I mean, that one pick and pop three he had in Game 5 as they were coming back, like that's one of the biggest shots of his career to make that one. For the playoffs, he's 36% from three. It's definitely better than his regular season one. I think the Knicks will ask him to prove it from outside a bit first. But if you play too much off him, you can flow into a DHO with like Max Strus or Sam Merrill or whatever. Or Mitchell. And now for Mitchell, I do wonder if he can just body through Mikal Bridges at times. I remember that one drive on Dennis Jenkins in one of those overtimes. But really, I think so much of what the Cavs are going to do is just put Brunson in actions and just make him either switch onto Mitchell and Harden, and then maybe they double. Where, I mean, the Knicks, they had success putting two to the ball on Maxey in the Philly series. I mean, Philly handled it well for like one of those games for the most part, but then in the fourth quarter, they just like totally fell apart on offense. They also did miss some makeable ones, but I'm going to keep saying this. When the Knicks made their defensive turnaround about midway in the season and ended up as a top 10 defense, a lot of it was we're just going to be more aggressive. We're going to send more bodies to the paint. We're going to do our best to close out, and we're going to have to live with some corner threes, skip passes, and obviously Harden can make those passes all day. I think with Mitchell, you're a little more willing to see if he can make them like every single time. Now, in that last game against the Pistons, of course, Mitchell's passing was really good. And I would like to believe that it's not as simple as just Donovan Mitchell turn up for a certain stretch, but the energy that he has had in some of the games in the Pistons series where in the second half, he's just immediately, I'm just going to push off of every opportunity I get. It's just got to happen more. I mean, the Knicks are not as good defensively as the Pistons, but they got way more firepower. And I would guess the Cat is probably going to be like to the level of the screen on actions. I mean, maybe he could be in just typical drop, but I wouldn't imagine it. And obviously Cleveland's got the shooters with Strus and Merrill, and they've got the guys to knock down the skip passes from Harden, or my guy Jalen Tyson. And then as far as when Mitch is in the game, I don't know, man. Mitch is just going to cause chaos for the 20 minutes a game he plays. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if this was similar to the Celtics series that's traumatized me for a year now, where Mitch comes in and he plays half the game, but it's the minutes that effectively win the Knicks the game. Because in the Philly series, I still remember possessions of him switching onto Paul George or pressuring PG up high on screens. Like, we know the rim protection and the rebounding is always going to be there. The Knicks have not leaned on the Mitch Cat lineup much these playoffs, and I don't know, maybe we see it for an extra 5 minutes here and there in the series. We might not. Anyway, who am I taking? Give me the Knicks. 6 or 7 games as always. OG's hamstring being a big deal here. I don't think you're surprised by me picking them. Apparently, I'm going to be a Cavs hater these playoffs. I don't know. It's possible that the Cavs are one of the most equipped teams to put the Knicks in matchup hell defensively, where, I mean, Dean Wade's switching, Mobley's switching, Allen's playing off a hard. Like, we don't really know where the obvious mismatch is, but I think just when they started featuring Cat more in the offense, I just think it took what this team was supposed to be for like 2 years, and it actually made it happen. Now, the sample size is still not very big, and the Cavs are better, but whatever. The way the Cavs win this series, to me, is that Harden and Mitchell just really have Brunson and Cat in hell defensively. Whether it's, we're forcing Cat to switch, Harden baits him into some fouls in screen actions, Mitchell is just, flying by him on certain screen actions. But even then, again, the Knicks, the defense, like, they were a top 10 defense. I'm going to keep on saying it. I know what the feeling might be because you have Brunson and Cat, but they were the 8th best defense this season. 7th best, my bad. We'll see with OG's hamstring.